Hello and welcome to Drunk on Tea. Power swords are one of those things that seem to scare a lot of people when it comes to painting. I've seen a lot of guides which either need an airbrush to achieve the effect, or lots of layers of glazing on paints, which takes a lot of time, or, without experiencing glazing, are easy to make mistakes and end up with a result that you're not happy with. Today I'm going to show a quick and easy way to get great looking power swords for your minis using just dry brushing, so anyone can achieve these results no matter how experienced of a painter you are. These are the three paints I'm using for this effect: Thousand Suns Blue, Temple Guard Blue and White Scar. And this is the model I'm going to apply the effect to. I've painted the sword with lead belcher and it's been shaded with Nuln Oil. I've almost finished painting the mini. This is a part of the Armageddon set, so I'm painting it in the 2nd edition Blood Angel scheme. And I have just a few highlights left to apply, so this is the perfect time for painting the power sword. First, with Thousand Suns Blue, I'm loading up my dry brush with paint and removing most of it onto a paper towel. I want to get rid of most of the paint on my dry brush, so only a small amount of paint remains. I'm not wanting to paint this effect on, I just want to dry brush the colour onto the blade, and that's what will give the effect of a powered blade. I'm dry brushing the paint onto the top half of one side of the blade. I'm applying this from around the middle of the blade to the top of the blade. There might be a little bit of overspill onto the other side of the blade, and that's okay, as it will just look like the power surging across the blade. Any overspills onto the armour can be tidied up afterwards if they are noticeable. The other side of the blade, I'm applying the same effect on the lower half up to about the middle. I'm not applying much pressure to the brush, I'm just gently sweeping it across the blade and building up a small amount of paint with each pass. I want to focus this towards the middle of the blade, so there's more paint in the middle than there will be at the tip or the base. This will help with the transition to lighter colours. I'm also doing the same to the underside of the blade as well. This angle can be a bit more awkward, but if you can reach, it's always best to catch the underside of the power sword as well as the top. After the first dry brush, you can see how the paint is strongest towards the middle of the blade, fading as it works towards either end. The effect can be stronger though, so I'm going to apply a second dry brush with Thousand Suns Blue. I'm applying this the same as the previous one, focusing the dry brush towards the middle and leaving less paint behind towards the tip. By building up a stronger colour in the centre, once the next colour is applied, it should give a nice smooth transition to the shades of blue. On the underside, I'm building up the colour as well. I want a bit of the silver to still be showing though at the tip of the blade, as well as near the base, but with a solid blue towards the centre of both sides of the power sword. After the second dry brush, you can see how the colour is a lot more prominent, especially towards the centre, and I have that transition from the silver to the blue on the sword. Next, with Temple Guard Blue, without cleaning off my brush, I'm applying another dry brush to the blade. This time I'm keeping the paint focused towards the centre of the blade. Any mistakes on the armour can be tidied up once I'm finished. I want to leave some of the Thousand Suns Blue showing, but catching the middle with the lighter Temple Guard Blue. Because I haven't cleaned off my brush, the colours will be slightly mixed, giving a nicer transition between the colours and stopping there being a prominent line as it moves into a brighter tone. If after applying this layer the colour still isn't strong enough, you can apply another dry brush of Temple Guard Blue until you get an effect you're happy with. Just remember to focus each layer closer and closer to the centre of the sword. After that dry brush, you can see how the glow effect is starting to build with the transition of colour from Thousand Suns Blue to Temple Guard Blue. Now with White Scar, I'm still not cleaning off my dry brush as I add another layer. Now I'm dry brushing right at the very centre of the blade. By not cleaning off the brush, the Temple Guard Blue will be brightened up by the white, so the centre of the blade isn't going to be pure white, it will just be an even brighter blue, which is perfect for this effect. I'm being light with this dry brush and just catching the very centre of the blade with a light touch, adding a streak of light to the blue power glow. With the final dry brush applied, you can see the effect I've built up. Now there are just a couple of details I want to highlight to finish the power sword. And for the final touches, I'm using white scar again. I'm catching the top of the power nodes with a small spot of white, so it looks like this is crackling with electronic power. I'm also applying an edge highlight down the middle of the blade. This will look like there's light coming from the blade, or it's glowing hot. This doesn't need to be perfect, as any wobbles will just look like the electricity is jumping all over the sword. I'm using the side of my brush where I can, so I get a nice even line and just catch the most raised points. But if this isn't possible, this can be done using the tip of a paintbrush as well. I'm also catching the edges of the blade, but only where I applied the dry brush. I go slightly further along than where the blue is, but I don't want to edge highlight all of the blade. Keeping this near to the blue helps sell that effect of the sword having this power jumping along it and makes it look really sharp. I'm using the side of my brush again, as this keeps these highlights nice and even and should stop any blobs appearing on the blade. But any mistakes or areas you come in too heavy with can just be extra bits of electricity bouncing along the sword. Mistakes in this scheme can just add to the randomness of the effect of the power as it jumps around the sword. So don't worry too much about being perfect. Even some mistakes on the armour can be a good base to painting some OSL if that's a look you're trying to achieve. And with the white applied, that is how to quickly and easily paint a power sword without an airbrush or slow glazing methods. Using this method, it's so easy to paint the power swords to a whole squad of Space Marines in just a few minutes and really gives a nice looking power sword to your minis. What do you think of this method, and have you tried painting power swords before? Please let me know in the comments below, and also let me know if you would like to see me show how to take this effect to the next level by adding some object source lighting to the rest of the model. Thank you very much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to follow along my journey of painting the Armageddon box in a retro 2nd edition theme. And a massive thank you to my latest Patreon member, Michael. Thank you so much for the support, and happy painting.